Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Chuck Baldwin, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Alex, it's great to be with you again. Thank you.
Out of the gates, I remember you years ago when this thing came out about preachers being approached by FEMA to teach their flocks to submit to government, hand their guns in, that you had said you had been similarly approached, but that was in my foggy memory. I wanted to get updated because, as you know now, mainstream news has admitted they've recruited 26,000 preachers. It is for gun confiscation. They're out giving sermons. We now have them on video, on national TV and locally, saying the same talking points about let them take your children, take the inoculations, being a slave of government is what Jesus wants. As a pastor, he's pastor of a pretty good-sized church in Florida, I wanted you to break down your experiences with similar things.
Okay, Alex, yeah, we're going back to the days after Hurricane Katrina. They didn't approach me directly. I remember picking up that story out of Louisiana, and the reporter there chronicled how that they were going to pastors in the area and asking them to facilitate the gun confiscation at the request of the federal government. And when I heard of that, I wrote a column about it. And after my column went out nationwide, I had a pastor call me from the state of Ohio, and he was approached. In fact, he went in on some of the training classes that were given, and he was giving me his information and his experience. And after that, I got up in my congregation, and I told them that not only would I not participate in requesting them to give up their firearms, but I was encouraging all of them to go out and buy a gun.
That was the issue, and then that got some press.
Right.
I mean, this is right out of the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany to have these state-approved churches, and when we got the secret documents 2+ years ago, and then it was a year and a half later that it was then confirmed, that really scared people. I mean, they thought I was producing fake documents from preachers, even though the two pastors that gave us that material got Homeland Security visits. Even though we covered up the phone numbers and where it came from, they were surveilling things so seriously that they were able to track who had done it, and then basically went and threatened them. How dare a preacher tell the public that they've been secretly approached to brainwash their congregation? I mean, this is hardcore tyranny on steroids, Pastor.
Well, yeah, it is, and it's the beginning of what George Herbert Walker Bush called, and you talk about it a lot on your show, the New World Order, and we're seeing it come to fruition. And I got to tell you, Alex, and I think your listeners are already aware of this, that if these two major parties continue their dominance of American politics, the America that we've known, a free, independent, sovereign America, is not going to be long for this earth. And that doesn't matter whether you elect John McCain or Barack Obama. They're both going to facilitate this New World Order, the NAFTA Superhighway, the North American Union, and all of that. There's virtually no difference between the two major party candidates. And that's why at the request of Howard Phillips and several others in the Constitution Party, they asked me if I would consider putting my name in nomination. And I was very reluctant to do it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not like I have nothing to do, Alex. I'm very busy, and I had to really pray and deliberate about that. But finally, God gave me the green light, and so we put our name in nomination. And as you said, the delegates voted for me 74% to 24% over Dr. Alan Keyes. And so I've been on the campaign trail now for the last several weeks, and I got to tell you, I just came back from the West Coast. I was in Los Angeles and San Diego, then I went to Utah and toured the entire state of Utah. We were going day and night. The local press was very favorable to us. The radio, television, the print media was very favorable. We had great crowds. They were enthusiastic. We made a lot of great friends and supporters. And I got to tell you, it was really great being out there on the West Coast and seeing the response to some people that are looking for the truth. They're looking for people that will stand up without compromise and call a spade. And I got to tell you, I think as we continue this campaign through these next couple of months, I believe the American people are really going to start awakening to what's happening. I'm very encouraged at this point.
Well, everybody I talk to, and when I personally experience, Mr. Baldwin, is the same thing. And now, out today, another scientific poll, the Drudge Report's got a link to it. It's also up on Infowars.com, where Congress has the lowest approval rating in its history. And, previously they never went below a 30. And they just keep breaking record after record after record. That shows that both parties are fully discredited, and they can't fool people putting one party in and taking it out and putting the other in. For the first time in over 100 years since the last major realignment, this is a mega alignment, we are at the point where the government is fully discredited. And that's with the public only having a micron on average, of understanding of just how deep the rabbit hole goes. But this is a huge victory. We have discredited these scoundrels because on every major issue, they go against the Constitution that also happens to be the will of the people. Funny how the will of the people happens to be aligned with the Constitution.
Yeah, usually it is. Another thing is very, I think, symbolic of what you were just mentioning there. When I was out in California, Utah, I heard that there was a long-time congressman out there that was a part of the establishment, and he was for open borders and illegal immigration and the whole 9 yards, and everybody thought he was untouchable, and that was Chris Cannon. And lo and behold, he got beat by a 60 to 40% margin in the primaries. He never made it to the general election. And this was a guy that they figured would never be beaten in Utah. I got a feeling that this coming November, there's going to be a real shakeup in Washington, D.C. And if no other issue, I think, has galvanized the people as to the problem that these two major parties are presenting to us today, it's this illegal immigration problem. I was on the border. Alex, it was very interesting. I got a grand tour. I got the VIP tour of the main port of entry there south of San Diego on the border. And then I went out into the real border, into the desert, and I saw the real situation that's going on out there. And I got a chance to talk to Border Patrol people and volunteers and so forth on the border. And it's worse than we realize. I mean, I thought I knew how bad it was, but when I got there and saw the reality of it, it was 10 times worse.
It is totally lawless, with Mexican troops kidnapping, killing U.S. citizens, police, military, robbing sheriff's deputies at gunpoint. In one night, 18 homes burned to the ground, rocket attacks, truck bombs in Dallas, major city police departments told to not arrest illegals even when they're committing DWIs. I mean, it is just lawlessness, just total lawlessness.
Yeah, it really is. And when I was there, I met a real sweet black couple, a man and wife. They had a real great family. A boy that's 17 years old. He was an honor student in school. He was preparing for college. He was a star athlete. He made the honor roll. He was dean's list. All of that. He's standing out front of his home in his front yard, and a illegal Mexican gangbanger came up and shot him in the gut. And as the young man is writhing in pain on the ground, this fella takes his gun and then puts it to his head and blows his brains out right there in the front yard.
Well, that's MS-13. They have as you know.
MS-13, and Alex, the thing about this is this guy had already assaulted a police officer there in Los Angeles, and he was out of jail on parole for assaulting a police officer when he killed this young man. Now, this is an illegal alien. That's just one example of what's going on.
And for those that don't know, Chuck, sorry to interrupt you, there is a bounty on what the illegal aliens call Mayadas. And I didn't know this until a few years ago. With at least a strain of the Mexican culture, blacks are completely reviled. Now the mainstream media has had to admit that's why a lot of people aren't going to vote who happen to be, just recent American citizens, because they're going to vote for McCain instead, even though they're Democrats, because they hate, quote, blackbirds. I hate to use that term, but we've got a serious race relations problem here.
No question. Los Angeles, California is a real war zone with these gangs coming across the border. And when you look at the two major party candidates, really, you look at Barack Obama, you look at John McCain, McAmnesty McCain, there's no difference in these fellas when it comes to securing our borders. Neither one of these fellas have any intention on securing our borders. If the American people want to elect someone in November who really has the will and the determination to seal our borders and to protect our borders, there's only one candidate in 2008, and that's Chuck Baldwin.
You're absolutely right. Their fix for the border is to just legalize everyone. That's kind of like
That's right.
The way to fix murder is just say murder isn't murder.
That's right, and I think you know what's going on here. This is just part of a bigger picture. What they want to do is they want to facilitate this North American Union. That's what they're doing, and in order to do that, they have to keep these borders open.
Chuck Baldwin, what I'm doing with some of the segments now is I'm also simulcasting this on my internet site via TV program and the web streams at Infowars.com. I don't want to waste any time with you, so we're going to talk a little bit here on the internet, kind of behind the scenes, then come back in a few minutes for everybody else. So please stay with us. We're going right back to Chuck Baldwin.